on? Today we are going over the Spulen Coilovers by USP Motorsports. I've had these coilovers installed in my car for about a week now. I was thinking about making an installation video, but there's so many install videos on coilovers and lowering springs for this platform that you could just Google or YouTube one of those videos. It's the exact same install process. The only difference is the coilover itself is different than others. Besides the coilovers, I am going to be touching base on the KW DCC cancellation kit as well. Not really too much to go in there, so I figure I'll get it out of the way now. Some MQB vehicles come with something called DCC, which allows you to stiffen or soften your suspension depending on the drive mode you're in. When you go on coilovers, you're not able to retain that DCC function anymore, so I had to buy something called a cancellation kit. From my knowledge and experience, KW, they knock it out of the park no matter what you're buying. Suspension, electronics, any kind of steering components, they knock it out of the park. So for a price tag of around $450, I got their cancellation kit. It was very straightforward. The purpose of the DCC cancellation kit is to prevent any kind of error messages or any kind of miscommunication between the ECU and the DCC system. If you don't want any error messages, and in some horror stories, frying the ECU or BCM, if you're gonna delete the DCC, get the cancellers. It's peace of mind, they're easy to install, and the ones from KW come with some very nice mounting plates, and you're able to mount them to any style or any brand coilover. As far as the coilover goes, it is your standard McPherson style coilover. So just about every Volkswagen, Audi, German cars from Hondas to Nissans to Subarus all run a McPherson style coilover. So if you're used to a different brand, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. You can expect anywhere from a 1 to a 2.5 inch drop with these coilovers. That ranges a little bit from front to rear. Currently, I'm about halfway. I think I'm around an 1.5 inch drop front and rear. Who drives in here? The coilovers also feature a 32-way adjustable dampening, so you can stiffen or soften the way the strut and shock react to bumps. It's relatively standard for most coilover setups. Some on the cheaper end, such as SoloWorks, I know they do not feature a dampening adjustment. Being the Spulen coilovers were designed specifically for the MQB platform, they fit just about everything in the MQB platform, and USP went through some very extensive testing before releasing them. And when you get them out of the box, the preload is actually preset to what they found was the best response for majority of drivers. Personally, I think I'm gonna stiffen my preload up a little bit, but it all depends on how you drive and what kind of driving you do. The coilover itself is very aesthetically pleasing. It has a very timeless colorway of black, gray, and red. Image here. Right now they're on sale for $800, so you really can't beat it. I think they're quite competitive with something like a BC or a Silver Neo Max. The only con that me and other consumers have come across is that you do not get a camber plate in the front to adjust camber. I haven't ran into the issue of quite needing one yet, but next year when I go to a 19-inch wheel, I think to get the front to tuck a little bit better in the wheel well, I'm gonna need to get a set of camber plates, which isn't bad, and it isn't hard to do. I can just simply pop out the strut, swap camber plates from something like 034, I think offers one. Sorry, 034 offers a camber plate, and I think there's quite a few other brands. Or I've seen some people do adjustable ball joints on the control arms to give them a little bit of camber. Every option works. It's really up to you to decide what you want to do. Personally, I think I would do a camber plate on the coilover itself. Something about having slotted ball joint bolts doesn't sit well with me. I've had the coilovers for about a week now. I think they've settled pretty much for the most part. I do some pretty extensive highway driving to and from work, and there's plenty of potholes and bumps along my drives, so I think they're pretty much settled. They do everything I want them to do. The only thing I might do in the future, besides the front camber plates, which is if I go to a 19-inch wheel, would be to get a rear sway bar, just to kind of stiffen the chassis up in a sense. I want less of a roll when I turn. I want it to be more planted onto the ground. But besides that, let me park up and I will get hopefully some shots of the fitment currently. Remember, I'm on a BBS SR wheel. That's an 18-inch. So keep that in mind.